What is going on, YouTube? Dr. Away here, and in this video, we'll be giving you the most detailed crash course into how to protect your shit via the Garrison. Amen. And I'm kind of irritated because I made this 35-minute video and realized that my microphone was not capturing my audio. Ripperoni in the chat. But hey, I love you guys so much. I'm about to do that shit again. Amen. So I'm going to be talking about all of the terminology associated with the Garrison, tips and techniques, talking about swarming the rally, doing counter rallies, and then the responsibilities of the Garrison captain themselves. Okay, and I kind of like the fact I get to do this over because I made a few mistakes and I would like to put more information towards the beginning. Okay, let's get into it. A garrison is basically anytime you defend an objective of troops, any objective, flags, holy sites, passes, that type of thing, right? That's an objective. So you can have, I'm gonna put something in here real quick. You can have garrison captain, and then you can have just reinforcements. I'll show you. I had all this set up before, but so when you get in here, like anytime that you get into a garrison, you'll be able to like click it and then reinforce, so you can kind of see this if it's like your thing that you could defend. And before I get into that, the goal of any garrison is to protect your structures, right? Stop them from being able to be burnt, do maximum damage to your enemy, and minimize the damage that you take, right? So the goal, I feel like it's almost in that order. Like sometimes you might lose the trade, but the enemy councils, because they just don't want to commit more troop loss or whatever the case may be, right? For why they cancel. So you can actually successfully win the garrison defense, but lose the trade. That's possible. But you still want to try to trade well. That would be the goal. Because as long as you're willing to reinforce this thing, it'll for the most part stay up. Okay, now with that being said, you got kind of a few parts of this whole thing. And this is what I want to explain, kind of like the interface. So here, you have like what troops are like in here. The leader, or I believe our force, can change what troop type you would like in here, and it'll help you because it'll show you like who's not paying attention. And fortunately, you can't like kick anybody out of like a garrison without kicking them from the alliance, but sometimes they have like 300k troops in there, and then you kind of be best to probably just kick them. And then you have the captain. You have the captain, and then everyone else is just like in here reinforcing. So the captain is designated with this captain's mark. The current captain, alliance leaders, and title officers can change the captain. Right. So I could change the captain. Assuming this is another player, I could change the captain to that player, and then at that point, that player could change the captain to somebody else. But the title officers or the leader doesn't even have to be in a garrison at all. They could just say, somebody could be like, oh, can you switch me to garrison? And if that person isn't like a title officer or the current captain, obviously, and then that title officer or alliance leader can change them. Typically, you probably want your garrison captain at the time that's actively and online to be a non-title officer or fort, just to take advantage of like a warlord buff or the envoy buff, and then to also be able to come in and out of the garrison as he wants, and be able to switch it up back to him or to somebody else. Okay. So, and then you have this reinforcement capacity. This is the max amount of troops that can be in this garrison at any given time. You want that to be as full as possible. I mean, it needs to stay hovering around 1.5 mil at all times. That's the best way that you're going to get a solid garrison defense. for sure. Okay, I've already discussed how to set the captain. I'm working down this list of notes. Now this is kind of like the basics, and now we'll go over some of the tips and techniques. So the whole goal around these techniques and tips is you just need to keep the garrison at max capacity for as long as you can sustain it. Right, that's the goal. The first tip is gonna probably be the most important. Well, all of them are important, but this one makes all the other ones a lot easier to like do. That makes sense. And you want a clear, short, protected path to the garrison. Point blank simple. The closer the better. So in this case, this is a pretty good example of this. So, right, it would take me, what is it, 13 seconds with infantry. And this is a pretty fast march. It would take me 15, 12. So even with cavalry, it would take me 12 seconds to get, that's what it said, but it was actually just more like 6. Okay, fine. 6 seconds to get to that garrison. But if I come here and then go from his city, it's like 2 seconds, right? So you want to try to have that clear, short path because it'll be hard for your city to be not city, but it'd be hard for your march that you're trying to get into the garrison to be swarmed down or blocked or anything of that nature. And there's kind of 2 ways to have a clear, short path. Either you have field control and you could just have your marches out, just waiting to reinforce, or in some cases, like having a clear path isn't that tough because it could be like a pass or something. But generally, field control is such a fluctuating thing where sometimes you have it or you kind of have it a little bit partially, and sometimes you just don't have it, and that changes so much throughout the course of battle that you always kind of want to use your cities and strategically teleport them in a way where you can reinforce from the city to the flag. I think that's always the best way to do it. And then like this guy could actually be closer. Like you want to pretty much be touching without touching. So like right there would be one of the best spots. And I think if I was being anal about it, I would push up to this corner here. Like that. Like, because then I'm using as much space on this side, and somebody could potentially, if this wasn't in a way, like be like right here. So that's the kind of thing that you want to do. And you can honeycomb it, like have marches all around the flag. So that way there's a whole bunch of different angles that people can reinforce from, and it's more cities. So a city could be at full capacity, and then like nobody else can obviously get in that garrison because you can only have a certain amount of reinforcement. So that's how I would go about doing the reinforcements. And then the second advice has kind of already been said. You just really want to reinforce from close, right? Not from far away. So the reason for that is like, let's say, for example, if I reinforce from this far away, right? Right now, it's acting as if I am in the flag with the capacity, but I'm actually not there. And it's going to take me 3 minutes to get there. So I'm basically making it so that Garrison can only have, 1.1, little bit, like, what's that, 1.45 or whatever, million troops. So now we're fighting for less troops for 3 minutes until my slow ass gets there. Never do that. If you do that, you need to be kicked from the alliance for sure, because you're about to pretty much kill the garrison. If like 2 people did that with just 210k troops, you're in big trouble. Like that's all it takes. Even if one person does it, I feel like you're in big trouble. You shouldn't be fucking around when it comes to like sending your troops to die. It should be the highest expectations of discipline, play, and professionalism. That's not professional. Therefore, it's from far away. Um, and that's why, because you're basically going to limit how many troops can be garrisoned instantaneously. Because for sure, there's going to be marches that are waiting to get in, but they can't because here come you blocking the way. And then the next technique would be, or tip, I guess you could say, is to use non-open field pairs, in the sense that I'll explain it like this. Like I'm putting, if I put, let's say it's an infantry garrison and I put Guan CPO in there. Well, I'm literally stopping. I can't use Guan CPO in the field no more. There, it's in the flag, right? So, like, it would be way better to throw markers that I'm not using. So in this case, I have, you know, different markers here queued up where this is what I use to reinforce with, whether it be rally or garrison, and it's not using any of the commanders that I use for my like major field fighting or any field fighting. I won't use these commanders, so I can easily, you know, come here and reinforce, right? And that's better because now I'm still participating in the defense, but I can use my go on with CPO. You'll notice how I'm just using 100K troops. I feel like that's a really good number because, you know, with so many people trying to reinforce at once, it'll be really hard to get in 200K troops, or if you had an expansion, more troops in there. And honestly, if you're able to fit 310K troops in there, then I think you have a reinforcement problem. There's a lot of people that probably aren't paying attention, or something's going on. There's some type of reinforcement issue. You know, I think if everybody's doing 100K, it would make a whole hell of a lot more sense because it'll be easier to get in there. You know, because it's easier to get into the flag or the garrison because you have less troops, and then it basically almost stays at, you know, 1.4 million or right at it because you are reinforcing from 2 seconds away. So the garrison is actually more likely than not at its highest capacity most of the time, or as high as it realistically can be, because you're getting constantly attacked every second, so it's going to keep going down every second. But with 100K, it's going to be more consistent reinforcements versus a 200 or an expansion, you know, reinforce that's you're going to have to kind of be weakened a whole lot more to be able to reinforce. So I think that's why I like the 100K. And on top of that, with the 100K troops as opposed to more, you can kind of slow down the rate at which you know, you as an individual player are losing troops. So some people like to, I'm not gonna say anything inappropriate, but I'm gonna do it. Blow their fucking load. Like, they do it way too early. Like, they'll put in, you know, expansion work to troops, you know, and now they can't really reinforce all that much throughout the KVK because they used up all a vast majority of their troops that they're willing to sacrifice in the beginning, when they could have just did 100K, been able to have a more enjoyable KVK experience throughout. Okay, so I think that's super relevant. And then don't swarm the rally if the garrison is having reinforcement issues. Just reinforce the garrison. Keep that full. The priority is on the garrison. The focus is about the garrison. Don't go for glory in the open field when it's time to defend an objective. Now, there's times when you do want to go for the glory in swarm, and that's the next part of this. So just give you a little bit of, you know, terminology. When you basically swarm in something, is when you use an individual march to attack something. That's swarm it, but multiple of them. So, you know, 10 marches all swarm the garrison, or all swarm the rally, right? But a counter rally is when you basically launch a rally on a rally. And you can do that the moment that rally launches out of the city, right? So going back to the swarm, for the most part, swarming is a good thing, but swarming a rally is usually a good thing, but it can hurt the garrison in some situations. And the goal of a swarm is just to basically make the rally, you know, take more damage or do less damage. You know, burn it and burn it up quick. You know, inflict maximum damage. Right. I don't think everybody should be looking to swarm. I think the best candidates for a swarm and a very effective swarm is T5 players, you know, using expansions with solid crystal tech and are using debuff high skill damage marches. So commanders like Alex, Guan, you know, Nevsky, XY, Boudica, CPO, they're doing high skill damage, right? They have crazy debuffs. And I think the debuffs in this case are the way to go. Because when you debuff a target, everything that's hitting that target is going to is going to do more damage or going to benefit from that debuff. Um, if you do a buff, there's a good chance that because what you actually want to buff in this case is the garrison, and because buffs, what's they gonna have to yard early in the morning when you have to do a buff march, it's gonna prioritize all your marches that's around first. Maybe you have two or three, and then it's only up to five, so then you have two more marches that can get buffed. Well, or the garrison. With all those marches around, it's a good chance you ain't buffing that garrison, and that's what you want to buff the most, the garrison. So I feel like the buff marches don't work as well. And I would stick to the debuffs because you can specifically put that on a specific target, and the buffs can kind of go to anyone, right? Um, Now I don't think that you should let your march get sad face swarming either. I think the best thing to do is get to about 30-40% right before red and then pull out because you can let somebody else that's waiting to swarm get in there and then they're full health, right? So then it's kind of like that reinforcement thing. Like you want it to be at maximum power. Well, it's only 12 things that can hit a rally, I believe, or a garrison. So like if you got the garrison hitting it and then 11 other marches, then go ahead and bag out and let somebody else go ahead and hit that person, right? And then you got a lot of anti-swarm rallies that are being used for this reason, right? So it's harder to swarm. And I think Pakal Hero is one of those rallies that you straight up just don't want to ever really swarm that. It gets significantly in a very major way worse for you. In fact, it might actually be more harmful to swarm that than to not, and to just let it do what it's going to do in a one-on-one against the garrison. But like something like Attila Nevsky, like a Henry Nebu, which I think will probably be pretty popular, does so much counterattack and damage to those individual marches and is really good at taking that damage, and dishing it back out. I think that the swarm isn't going to be as effective on those marches. And that's when I would kind of lean towards the counter rally. And the thing with the counter rally is probably better pound for pound and swarming in a lot of cases. Especially if you can get a few on there, but you have to it takes 5 minutes to do that, right? At least 5 minutes to just wait to launch. So it is a time issue. And then with the swarm, it can be like pretty much instantaneous, right? Okay, gotta switch pages here. Now let's go to the garrison captain, right? You want your garrison captain to be super specialized and what's being used to defend with. So right now, the meta is Jad, YSS, and probably Zenobia Flavius. You can use Zenobia YSS too, but Xeno Flav is probably stronger. So like, I really like Jad. So this is Jad, YSS, I like YSS as well. And then here's Zenobia. Right, those are and then I forgot Flavius, but it doesn't matter. I don't have to show Flavius. You can look on your own, right? And then you want that garrison captain to have like the legendary, all legendary gear, special talented legendary gear. You want them to have iconic, legendary accessories. The fucking works, right? Highest expectations because we're sending our troops to die, So we need our kingdoms, like, so the quote unquote best warriors, like literally. Um, and then it's just a checklist that the garrison captain has to go through before he even sends his troops in there. So you want to make sure, that for the commanders that you want, let's say it's Zenobia Flavius, you're gonna come to commander tab, make sure they're a Nighthead Iron Guard because you want the health and defense. You want to make sure that you have, your city skin. You want to make sure that you have a rune, 10% health or 7% attack and defense, or whatever the best thing you can like get at that time. You want to pop your 10% defense token. Here you want to check your gear, and your talent. So like, make sure that it's the gear that you in fact want. It's correct. And then you have a talent build. You have a talent build that's appropriate for, the garrison activity, that you're doing against hopefully the specific rally that you're about to take. Like sometimes it's worth like switching, like the rally comes out, you see what it is, sometimes there's ways to play around with your talents to get a little bit more benefit, and that might actually be worth it to you sometimes. And then at that point you're like ready to send your troops out. So let's put some troops into the garrison. This is how I would do it. So like let's say you have like a garrison or whatever, in the same sense that you want to kind of make sure that you don't like burn all of your troops too quickly. Like I see a lot of guys, and I recommend this as well. Maybe they do like 50K or so, and they'll spend it into the flag, and then you want to make sure. I'm gonna stop here because I'm gonna pretend that not the garrison captain.
Have no choice save to protect.
Warrior, you will not best me.
So somebody's already in there, because you said set a marker for the defense. You're coming in. As soon as you can, make yourself a captain. Or if you can't, make sure that somebody does. Right? Make sure you set the troop type that you want. Tell people, get the fuck out if they don't have the correct troop type. All of that sort of thing, and just kind of get ready to prepare for the rally. Make sure everything is set, good, ready to go. Now, sometimes the rally will run so long, your troops will get down to like 100 troops, and then 99 until it reaches 0. When it starts getting down to like 20 troops, something like that. A lot of times, what will happen is that they'll have a backup garrison in the flag. So they'd be like, I need a backup garrison. They're using something. It could be the same thing. It's just another garrison captain. But in this case, the next guy comes in, right? You would wait for that guy to come in. As it takes 20 years. You wait for that guy to come in, right? You're like super low. You switch captains first. Okay, now it's the new captain. You leave. And then you refresh, and then you come back out, and then switch the captain back to the primary person. That's how you do that. Sometimes I see people, they'll leave before the other captain gets in. Sometimes the captain will get in and they'll leave, but the captain isn't switched. That dude wasn't a title officer, so you can't go back and switch. You gotta scream on the chat or whatever, tell somebody to switch to Garrison. The Garrison's getting wrecked because it's some free to play. Don't do that. That's unprofessional, right? I have the highest expectations, especially since I'm giving you the information. Highest expectations. That's pretty much the end of the video, and I did it 5 minutes quicker because I knew exactly what I was gonna say. I hope this video was very informative and relevant to your Garrison experiences and your future Garrison experiences. This is for the love of Kingdom 2387. I'm doing it for you. There's no excuse why we can't have the utmost efficiency and competence and domination on the battlefield in KVK. So KVK starts tomorrow. I'll probably just do a stream because there's going to be so much stuff I'm doing. I don't got time to do like a whole bunch of the BS with that associated with making videos. I'm just going to stream. It comes out how it comes out. Come join me, and I'll see you in the next video. KVK, here we come, baby.